Did you ever experience any doubts as a believer? Or
So I feel like I've kind of covered some of the areas where I struggled or had doubts. So definitely around the temple, definitely around the idea of giving time when it comes at a cost to family. I was always very much family first, some of those issues, and very much struggling with concrete belief, the concrete historicity, the Book of Mormon being factual, historical, all those things were blacks in the priesthood, all of those things were shelf items for me.
Did polygamy ever bug you?
Yeah, polygamy bothered me.
How did it bother you?
As a female, and as the idea was, and kind of the way I'm made for partnership and companionship and intimacy, and I didn't understand how that would work logistically. It just went against reason for me.
What about the one true church idea?
So brilliant. Always had a hard time with that. Here's another issue I had that's so good, is that as converts, our extended family were all non-members. They all were, and living in the East, all of my good friends were not Mormon. And so I think what happens there is that anytime you have a lesson on here's what it takes, and you do this, this, and this, and then you get to go to heaven. And by the way, here are the levels, Anytime you have a lesson like that, I had an older brother who was struggling at different parts. What you're thinking is, oh, those people I love won't be there. And why would that be? Because these people I love are great people. We see that, we know that, we see their lives are beautiful, we see they're great parents, we see that they care about other people and are trying to live really responsible, conscientious lives. And so anytime I had a lesson like that, and I had seen too much beauty. I had seen too much truth in other people that were different than me to really feel like that was a viable way.
So the one true church idea.
Never said it.
How about Joseph Smith being a prophet?
Yeah, I had issues. I think the best I did was in Susan Black's class at BYU, where she was trying to piece it all together. And even in that construct, I knew, like, psychologically, his sort of behavior, I couldn't make it right. I couldn't make it make sense. And visions.
What was wrong with Joseph?
And visions, the supernatural element. I've always just had a hard time. I've always had a hard time with that. I grew up with a quiet father, a gentle father. His strength and his power was in his being. He was not forceful or charming. He was charming, but not in a manipulative way, in a way where he was being a great listener and really, really wise. And so growing up and being connected with mental health through my dad, we've lived in mental health hospitals while houses were being built. We attended holidays at mental health hospitals. His profile of just this Joseph Smith's profile of this larger than life being, even though I didn't have the details at that time of all the women and the girls, at that time, I naturally found something that I didn't trust about it.
So you doubted that. What about like Gordon B. Hinckley or Thomas S. Monson as a prophet? Did you ever look to them as your prophets, as God's mouthpiece on the earth?
I always was aware who was the prophet, but again, culturally in our home, I feel like psychology was much more a part of our life. We went to, what is it called? One session of conference when conference came. Like, I remember coming to BYU and I'm like, holy cow, there are so many sessions of conference. People like go to church all day. I just really didn't have any idea about that, because we would drive to the church, listen to a couple hours, call it good, head home.
But did you ever look to them as God's mouthpiece on the earth?
No.
Gordon B. Hinckley talks to God, and he is my representative.
That's kind of an interesting part, because I feel like the height of that was when I married you, love. And we were raising our young kids, and General Conference would roll around, and you'd be like, every session. We will listen to every session. And I was like, cinnamon rolls? Colored?